My name is Desiree Timms. I'm the president and CEO of Innovation Ohio Education Fund, and we are thrilled to be a recipient of grant funding from the Ohio State Bar Foundation. The funding allowed us to hire and recruit interns and volunteers and dig through data to find out more information about what's happening in Ohio regarding Black women and girls. In our justice agenda, we decided to focus on home ownership, education, and the workplace. And we found that these are really critical areas for not just Black women, but in education when we start thinking about our Black girls. Traditionally, a lot of research has been done and focused on boys and men of color. And it's so important that we also focus on girls. And I think we're seeing a lot more attention and news media focused on teen suicide and the role of social media. And what does this mean for our young girls in our schools? And how are they ending up in the criminal legal system? How are they ending up before judges? And what are their outlooks and their thoughts? And what are we teaching girls to think about themselves and how they show up? One of our goals was to look through issues that impact women of color and girls through the criminal justice system and the criminal legal system, and we found a lot of issues. And we've spent the last several months, if not year, really paring down those matters into 3 areas. We found that we actually have to do more research and more digging in order to refine the data to really pinpoint and target opportunities for solutions.
Innovation Ohio has been the premier policy hub, and they've honestly have been a resource for me when it comes to information. Being at the State House, we have a lot of things that are coming at us very quickly. Innovation Ohio is always bringing back the focus back to people and bringing back to the inequalities that are being experienced, particularly for Black women like me. So I'm so grateful for what the services they provide, because they get right down to the root of the matter with messaging points, ways that people can get involved. So it's not just a me thing of trying to be working at the State House. I have a partner that is allowing me to fight for Black women across the state, and that's Innovation Ohio.
And that's the goal of the justice agenda. It's to provide solutions so that our community leaders, our elected officials, lawyers, public defenders, everyone has something at their disposal that they can use to solve the injustices and the inequity that has really been around for decades and decades here in the state.
The Crown Act is a bill that I've introduced. This is going to be my 3rd General Assembly introducing it. And it protects women in whatever natural state that their hair is. Did you know that having your hair in its natural state is not a protective class? That you can lose your job, you can get kicked out of school, it can inhibit you from particularly participating in sporting events. And we've seen that all over the state of Ohio.
And the importance of this legislation and what that means for Black girls who want to show up as Black girls with the hair that grows out of their head, and what that means when we see stories in the media about teenagers being forced to cut their hair in order to participate in sports. All of this has an impact on our community, on Black girls and how they show up, and how Black women show up in the workplace.
The support from the Bar Foundation was instrumental. We really couldn't have done it without it. We had to build capacity and find researchers and really lean into the work. And quite frankly, it costs money to send out surveys and to research legislation and have the resources to identify certain pieces of legislation. So it was extremely instrumental.
Receiving additional funding from the Bar Foundation is going to be so helpful, because we are now going to move into phase 2 of the project, which is deploying some of the data and messages that we've created based on our findings. We are going to reach out to everyday Ohioans and ask, is this something that will change your life? Does this impact you? Is this the right solution? Are we barking up the right tree, essentially, is what we're trying to find out. And we plan to share that data publicly once we secure all of the focus groups and get all of the volunteers, which is actually harder than you might think. So that is the next part. But we are just so grateful for the Ohio State Bar Foundation for really diving into this work and granting us the funds, because it matters. In the months after the George Floyd protest, we saw corporations and foundations and organizations all over the world talk about their commitment to DEI. Today, we know that a lot of those organizations and corporations and foundations have not done anything. The State Bar Foundation here in Ohio is really doing the work. They're not just talking the talk, but they're walking the walk and making investments in ways that are practical and that are meaningful right here in our community. And we are just so grateful for the investment in our small organization to do work that we care about. It matters. It matters today. It will matter tomorrow, and it will matter for Black girls across Ohio who will grow up to become women in Ohio in the coming years.